Amen. Thank you, Sayedna, for opening us in prayer. I just started the recording so we can send it to Elias and to Father Hans, and also to you, Neil, so that you have it if you need it when you're doing the minutes, if you need to refer back to anything. The last time we had a meeting was actually 2 months ago. I apologize for canceling the meeting last month, but it was just too busy. We had so many things going on, especially preparing for the fall retreat. We had multiple meetings with the speakers, and there just wasn't a good night to have this. So we're meeting for the first time in a couple of months, and the last time, actually, Eric Beard took the minutes. So I think that was because Neil, you weren't able to be on for that meeting. So if you can take that back over this meeting, I included the minutes that Eric provided from the last meeting in the email that I just sent out, and the agenda was with it. And so since Eric doesn't usually take the minutes, I'll just go ahead and review them. Normally, Neil, I would have you review it. And then I would also just say, I think Eric's minutes were right on as far as the length. It's really bullet pointed well. So thank you again, Eric, for stepping in. But I think it's also a good example where we don't have to include everything that we discuss, but just the main highlights. I think Eric did a really good job of that. And you can even use this format too, Neil. I think this is a really helpful format, the way that he has it here. So if that's easy for you, if not, feel free to use a different format. But I'll just go ahead and review the last meeting, which was August the 20th, 2024, and it started at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. The attendees were His Grace Bishop Nicholas, Father Hans, myself, Eric Beard, and Elias Abugazali. So that was who was on the last meeting. We approved the minutes from the July meeting. They were reviewed and approved without amendments. The next item was website headshot and bio discussion. So there was discussion regarding the need for updated headshots and bios for the Amen website. I believe as of right now, I think we have all those updated. I think, Neil, we just got yours, your headshot. I don't know if we have the bios though. If any of you haven't sent that, all we need is just maybe like 3-4 sentences max of a just brief bio for each of you. So if you haven't sent that yet, if you could just send that back to my email address, I'll make sure we get it updated on the website. And I think
the website's not updated.
yeah, and I need to ask, Elias was updating the DOMSE website, so I think Father Hans is going to update ours. If not, I might be able to take a stab at it. But I need to get with the two of them, and both of them are not in this meeting right now. So it's been updated on domse.org, but I'll follow up and make sure we get it updated on antiochianmen.org. On domse.org, we don't need the bio, so I think he just updated the photo. But if you all could, each of you just send me a quick, again, 3 to 4 sentences max. You can look at the other ones that are on the antiochianmen.org website and just do something similar. It's nothing big, but just a brief description for each of you would be helpful if you haven't already. Back to the minutes though. As far as old business, we discussed the previous items, and then for the August virtual Bible study, we had some planning and discussion on doing that in person. I know at the fall retreat, and Eric, thank you for taking the lead on that while I was on an airplane and I was not able to do it. I couldn't get to Nashville soon enough, but I'm glad that went well. And for the financial update, Elias provided a brief financial update. Cash on hand at that time was $4,508.76. Proceeds from the PLC in June were $241.28. Merchandise proceeds were $1,623.33. And there was notable sales of books at the PLC, and the retreats were discussed with plans to support future inventory. We sold quite a bit at the PLC in Atlanta, so that was good. The board noted the popularity of the Red Amen polo shirts. There was consensus on the need to restock, and then I agreed to place an order to ensure inventory for this and other merchandise items for the fall retreat. I'm actually wearing one of those red polo shirts now, so we did get those in time for the fall retreat, which was good. Email outreach program. So Eric Beard will take over the development of an email outreach program to the DOMSE Amen chapter presidents, picking up from where the former Vice President Randy left off. The action was I would provide Eric with a complete contact list of chapter presidents. I know I still owe you that, Eric, so apologize for not sending it yet, but I will send that to you. Amen website, the board discussed the need for regular updates to the website, including timely notifications and general content maintenance. And then the action was I was going to contact Matt, and actually that's in our agenda to discuss for this meeting. And I'm going to ask you to, Matt, we'll talk about it later on, but just doing some basic updates to keep it up to date with changing the dates on the Bible study, for example. I'll show you how to do that. It's very simple. But if you could help with that, we'll discuss that later on in the meeting. And then the 2025 men's retreat planning for Amen. We've had early discussions around planning for that event. Guest speaker suggestions were requested. Nominations from across the diocese were encouraged to form a retreat committee, ideally including someone who attended the 2024 Amen retreat. So we'll definitely talk about that. Upcoming quarterly leadership meeting, a reminder was given for that meeting. It's scheduled for November 5th, 2024. And I did confirm with Bishop Nicholas that that date will work. It happens to be election day. So if, depending on how you look at it, if you're depressed or excited, we'll have one reason to commiserate together on election day. Maybe we won't even know that early on, but what the results are. But we'll meet on the 5th for all the Antiochian Men chapter presidents. And then we talked about the St. Michael's Consecration Program advertisement, and we agreed. I was requesting approval to use the Amen logo in the souvenir journal that went out. So I know we voted to approve that, and then I did receive Bishop Nicholas's blessing. He was actually just here with me in Los Angeles at the consecration and all the events. And I showed him the full page ad, and it looked great. It was a great thing to have Antiochian Men in there and to offer congratulations on behalf of our organization. So it looked really good. And then action item summary, Eric Beard, responsible for, again, the Bible study that we did at St. Ignatius. He did a great job there. I was going to place an additional order for Amen polo shirts, books, and other items for the fall retreat, which I did do. There is one thing, and Neil, you can put this in the minutes for this meeting. I do need to send Elias the financials of what we sold at the fall retreat. We sold a little bit less this time than we normally do because there were a little bit less people there. But I still do need to make sure we send over a check for what we did sell from our local bookstore. So I'll make sure I get that sent over. Also, I was going to send that contact list. I know, Erica, again, I still owe that to you of the chapter presidents. So I'll get that to you this evening. And then Eric will develop an email outreach program with diocese-wide Amen chapter presidents. We can talk about that in this meeting. It's on our agenda. And then I was going to contact Matt regarding website updates. So Matt will talk about that in this meeting as well. And then for all board members, suggest guest speakers and nominate individuals for the retreat committee. So that's the last thing we'll be discussing in the meeting today. Any changes, requests for changes, or questions about the minutes from the last meeting? And again, Eric, thanks for stepping in on that. If there's no corrections or any questions, would one of you be willing to put forward a motion to accept them as written?
Motion to accept is written.
All right, so motion from Matthew. Is there a second? It looks like our bishop just put his hand up. Does that mean you second? Okay, second. Edna. Okay, any further discussion? I feel like I'm doing a parish council meeting. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand to accept the minutes.
Aye.
All right, all opposed? Minutes are accepted. All right, so that has passed and we can move on to the meeting. I just need to open the agenda. I did send the agenda for the meeting, so hopefully you all got that. Under old business, our Bible study was in person the last time. It's going back to virtual this month. So the next one's going to be Thursday of next week on October the 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. Father Stephen is going to continue his series on Moses. And Eric, how did it go? I know I wasn't there and you said it went well, but didn't you say we had about 20 people in person there last month?
Yeah, we did. Thank God we had just over 20 people there. And the vast majority were from St. Ignatius. So I was happy about that because their participation virtually has been very, very small. And for that many to be there in person, I'm hoping will translate to more participation virtually now, because they really got a taste of, Father Stephen bringing the Bible, the scriptures and the stories to life, with his perspective that he does. So it was really good. Got a lot of good feedback.
Good. I really appreciate it. And then I don't know if you had any snacks or refreshments there, but if you can get the receipt over to Elias, he can mail you a check.
That one was on me.
Okay. It sounds like you're taking after me. Sometimes you just you enjoy donating, so I get it. But thank you, Eric. It was kind of you to take the lead. Again, I was coming from Salt Lake City on a business trip that I could not get out any earlier. So it's just nice to have some backup that can just fill in, especially for an in-person Bible study. That's something I really didn't want to miss, but had to. So appreciate that. We're going to go back to having it on Zoom next week, though, and I'm looking forward to that. I know Father Stephen is as well. He has a brand new book out about St. Paul that I can't wait to read. And he's developed quite a following with the books that he's released. And, the fact that he's been a speaker for us so many times, I just appreciate all the time that he's volunteered for us. And he continues to do that. So we should definitely be grateful for what he's doing. Our Bible study videos continue to get hundreds and hundreds of views after we post them on YouTube. So it's great PR for the diocese and for the Antiochian men. So we'll look forward to continuing that with him. The next thing under old business, Elias wasn't able to be here, but I included on the agenda the status of our treasury. So right now the balance is $2,963.56. And the biggest expenditure we've had since our last meeting was the order of the polo shirts. So again, the red one that I'm wearing here is what we ordered. We have them in all the different sizes. We'll be selling these not only at the fall retreat, which just ended, but the upcoming winter retreat, at the Parish Life Conference next year, and then our Antiochian Men Conference and Retreat, the second annual. So plenty of opportunities to sell it. Another quick note on this, somebody from St. Elias in Atlanta was able to take half of the merchandise with him. We just divided it in half. I took half back to my church. He took half with him because the next spot is going to be the winter retreat, and that's going to save us on the cost of shipping quite a bit to have a lot of it already there. And then he also was potentially going to do like a pop-up shop in front of their bookstore to sell it on certain Sundays or days that their men actually meet there. They've had a long time men's group at St. Elias in Atlanta, and they actually just changed the name of it to Antiochian Men. So it sometimes, I know, established men's groups, it can be a challenge for them to change the name of something that's been around for decades. In this case, they finally did it, and it was with the leadership of this gentleman named Michael, who recently actually moved to the parish and was aware of us from outside of our diocese before he moved in. And he's really taken the lead and is really getting them excited. And they're going to be on the ground ready to help us when we do the winter retreat and to have a meeting there for Antiochian Men. So they're excited about supporting us there. And it's nice to have some extra support there in Atlanta. I don't know if Michael's going to be the next Eric Beard, but again, it's nice to have a backup or a go-to person at these larger parishes where we're doing these diocese events. So I'm hoping to lean on Michael quite a bit. I think his last name is Pagani. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he moved to that parish. He's a subdeacon. I think you may know him, Bishop Nicholas. I'm sure you saw him.
I do know him, Pagani, as in the $17 million car Pagani.
Okay. So okay, that's good. Well, he is really excited about Antiochian Men, and he's now the chapter leader there. And he's going to really, I think, be a good ally there on the ground in Atlanta.
He is very, very active, and he calls me, and we discuss things and so on. So he's really good. His wife is a big shot attorney. She used to work for Google. She used to be also on the Archdiocese Board of Trustees.
Oh, nice. Okay. He made a donation to Antiochian Men when he registered for the fall retreat too. So he's his heart is in it for this organization, which is great.
Yep.
And he's reached out to me several times. I think it's a big win to have him there in Atlanta. And Father Gabriel there has no choice but to accept his enthusiasm.
Yes.
So that's good. So that's really all for the Treasury update. I just wanted you all to see what Elias actually sent me, the grid of all the different things that have happened. Again, the only thing that's missing is we owe a check to Elias from my local parish based on what we sold from the fall retreat. So I'll be working on that here in the next few days and get that sent to him. Next, under old business, we talked about this in the last meeting, but we were going to follow up on this. I know, Eric, you were in the last meeting and we briefly kind of touched on this for you, but as far as new Amen board members' roles and responsibilities, this new board was established in June of this year, but we're already 4 months in. It's hard to believe. So it's a 2-year term and a big chunk is already gone, and I could really use some help. And the reality is I just can't do everything, and I have to ask for help from especially our new board members. So each of you, it's not fair to you if I don't tell you what those things are that we just need the support with. And so I'm here for you if you need to ask questions, or if you're not sure of any of these responsibilities. I'm happy to jump on a Zoom call with you separately, but I just don't have enough hours in the day. I just can't get to the website, as an example. I can't do the newsletter as often as I was able to do before. And that's something that, I used to do in the very early days. I've just got too many things I'm committed to. Parish council chairman, diocese ministry council, obviously have a very intense job where I'm on a lot of traveling business trips, and I just started my MBA. So doing online classes. So I'm just maxed out. Plus, with obviously having 3 kids and being married and all the other church events I do locally.
Do
So
you need the job? Do you need the job, Michael?
do I need the what?
Do you need the
Job?
job
I
that
wish
you're
I could
having?
just, if you could quadruple my salary with Antiochian Men, I might be able to
I
quit.
will quadruple your salary. Just quit
Yeah.
your job. You don't need it.
4 times 0 is still 0, though. So I don't think economically it works out. No, I do have to still pay the bills and and take care of my family. Unfortunately, I can't cut the job. My job is just also more demanding. It's a director level position, and I accepted that a few months back. So a lot of things are converging. And again, I just need to rely on, the reason I tell you all this is I just don't have as many hours as I used to have in the early days. When we first started Antiochian Men 5 years ago, I had a much less demanding job at the time. I wasn't traveling as much. I wasn't parish council chairman. I wasn't a lot of things. So all that to say, I have outlined here in the agenda what I'm asking from each of you. If you have questions, obviously I'm happy to answer and work with you to help get you comfortable with these. For you, Eric, I know we've talked about identifying the chapter leaders. So when I send you the list that I have, that doesn't mean that they're all 100% accurate. And there are some parishes, there's a handful where I don't have a contact. So in that case, it's the priest. One example of that is St. Elizabeth in Murfreesboro, which is very close to you. Father John Oliver is the contact because I don't have an Antiochian Men chapter president. Now, there may be one, but it may come to us asking, or you taking the lead to just find out. And since you're so close, you may even be able to just ask around for, in the case of that parish, and just see who is leading things over there. We just need to get a contact. So I'll send you the ones that I have after this meeting, as I said, and then if you can just try to help me fill in the gaps of the few parishes we're still needing. And then there's some that may have changed, honestly, in the last few months even, that may have a new leader. There's a brand new contact in Vicksburg. So I'll make sure I have him corrected for the list that I sent to you, Eric. But just following up and checking in to make sure that there has, these are still the same contacts would also be helpful. So that could be a good first step. So I want to get to the point where regular communication is sent to the chapter leaders. Ideally, monthly would be great. We have the quarterly meeting, but I think we still need to remind the chapter leaders, these are the priorities. We need your help. For example, advertising the upcoming virtual retreat that's in November. If we just send the flyer that's in the most recent newsletter and say, hey, talk this up in your parishes, print this out, talk to your men about it. If you get to the chapter leader, a lot of it happens at the local level. So that's one thing we still haven't been able to do with Antiochian Men is to do regular communication with those chapter leaders. And I get copied on your emails, Eric. You do a great job with your local chapter communication. I saw some today, and it would be a pretty easy thing for you to just have a separate email distribution list for these chapter leaders to hit the top bullet points. Hey, we need your help. Please, spread the word about whatever's coming up. So that's what I'm envisioning for that. And then this also soliciting success stories from the chapter leaders to be shared in our newsletters. I actually sent the last newsletter out. It was last Saturday. I was showing Neil before everybody was joining, and I'm actually having to go out on social media and look for success stories. And in this case, I went to All Saints, to their their Instagram page, and I found that they did a game night. It would be great to know when those things happen and for them to send it to us. But there's plenty of successes happening. We just want to keep sharing what those are. And then that way, if you can send them to Neil, he can include them in our newsletter and have a fresh one each time he sends it. It seems like a lot of the same churches are the ones sending the success stories, or the ones we're getting them from. So we want to try to branch out. So out of those 3 bullet points, Eric, I don't know if you have any questions, or do you think each of those is achievable?
Oh yeah, absolutely achievable. And let's just get started with the communication, and then it just kind of takes on a life of its own, and will continue to grow. But the consistency in communication is what's key.
Yeah, exactly.
And so.
And if it comes from you on a separate email, that also helps, because, for example, in MailChimp, some of the chapter leaders may not be subscribed. They may have unsubscribed, and there's no way to add them back. So if you send it from a different email address, even if you send it from your St. Ignatius account, if they're getting it from a different email, it might also pop out and get their attention more. And you can even, as an introduction, tell them, look, I'm the new vice president at the diocese level. One of the things I've been tasked with is to make sure our chapter leaders know what's going on. Introduce yourself in that way. And then that way they know when they see an email from you maybe once a month, here's the key things I need to focus on, or what's coming up. So that's kind of what I was thinking with it, but I'll leave it up to you as far as which email you want to use. Sound good?
Got it.
And then for you, Neil, I know as secretary, you have the honorable task of taking minutes. So that's something that secretaries tend to, we rely on them to do. So that's obviously built into your responsibilities when you're able to attend. Now, obviously, like last time, if you can't make it, I'm sure someone else will step in like Eric did, so it's not a big deal. But as far as the newsletters, you'd mentioned, we were chatting before this meeting started, that you'd already kind of got with Bert and figured out how to create the news items. And I was trying to, and I shared my screen and showed you a little bit more as you're getting used to, and I know you said you could figure it out. I'm sure you can, but if you have questions, just text me, call me. I can always jump on a quick Zoom meeting and share my screen just like I did before this meeting. I just want to be able to get you comfortable to be able to send it out and to not wait, or to feel like you're waiting to have to send it, right?
Right.
So that'll be a big thing. And I'll try to be proactive by saying, hey, Neil, here are the top 4 things I really want to keep in the newsletter. Some of them may be repeats from the last one, just like I was showing you. So hopefully it's not a lot of work, but I'm just going to be honest, it's too hard for me to get to the newsletter with how busy my weekends have gotten, and my weekdays, there's just no time for me to do it. So if you can pick a time, I'd like to at least get it once a month, but I shoot for twice every other week, I think is a good cadence. So if you can make that as a goal, try to maybe send it every other week. And then if for some reason it only happens once, at least we're getting at least one newsletter out. I think that's a good, healthy balance. If we send it too frequently, people will start unsubscribing. So I think twice a month is the ideal, and we can kind of shoot for that. And then what I'm going to ask you for really, Neil, is to solicit all of us on the board, but especially me, on what to include in those newsletters. So if you, for example, set a cadence where you're going to send it out, I don't know, on the 1st and the 15th of each month, or, if you pick a Sunday, like, let me know a few days before, hey, I'm planning on sending out the newsletter on whatever date. What do you want me to include? Or send it to the whole board and say, are there things that we need to include, and let everybody reply to that. I just need the proactive reminder, because honestly, with how busy we all are, if you can just prompt me, and if I haven't sent you what to include, just ask me for it. And then maybe even just set a calendar reminder for yourself to do that, like a few days before you're ready to to work on the newsletter. That way, you know what to include. And there may be some newsletters that only have like 2 or 3 items, and that's fine. But it's better to send that than nothing, obviously. So
Okay,
yeah.
just send that to the board. All right.
Yeah, send it to the board, ask what news items, does anybody have anything you want me to include? And then honestly, Eric, like as you're focused on reaching out to chapter leaders, you can reply with, hey, chapter leaders, look out for an email coming soon from a different email. It's like something like that. Like you can announce that we're going to start reaching out to the chapter presidents. And then Matt, if you have anything with social media, feel free to reply. You don't have to have something for the newsletter, but if there's something you want to announce, if there's something you want to remind people about, just send that to Neil so he can include it. And that way we can be cohesive with, keeping everybody up to date on what all of us are working on. And then, yeah, so just as far as the cadence, I'll leave it up to you. But since I just sent a newsletter out last Saturday, if you can make it a goal, not this weekend, but the weekend after, maybe for the next one, that would be like the 26th, 27th. Oh, I'm sorry, no,
Okay.
19th. Yeah, it would be the 19th, 20th would be like the goal for the next newsletter.
Okay, well,
I usually send it on a weekend, but it doesn't have to be. If you want to do it a Sunday night, a Monday, just as long as we're consistent, right? And try to send it a good amount of time apart, on a regular basis.
right.
So yeah, it doesn't have to be a weekend. You could send it a Monday, Tuesday, whatever works best for you with your schedule. Any questions on those bullet points for you, Neil?
No, that's all. Nothing new.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I have full confidence you'll be able to figure out the MailChimp kind of quirks, and there's little things like the anchors I was showing you that sometimes, like, send a test email to yourself and try out all the links, and you'll
Right.
get the hang of it. It just sometimes there's little quirks in the system where you have to recreate the anchor links, and that can be a pain sometimes. But if you reuse them, just like I showed you, it becomes easier. And if you need to go back further to a newsletter that has more news items, it's always easier to take away news items than to add, because then you have to add another anchor and it doesn't always work, just as an example. So
Got it.
okay, so then for Matt, for social media director, so one thing that came up since our last meeting, and I didn't even realize this, Matt, just so you know, Elias reached out to me and said there were several people that were trying to join in band that he approved. So I don't know if you have approval access or you're an admin in the band account to be able to do that, but you'll have to actually go in and look or turn on your notifications so you know when people are trying to join band, and you may not have it set up yet to be able to do that. But there's people that are actually trying to join our band group that we just need to make sure we approve to get them in. Every once in a while, you may get like a bot that shows up that's not genuine. You can tell with how they respond to the question of what parish they're from, if it's a genuine request or not. But just checking that, it doesn't have to be every day, but just regularly to make sure that if there's any requests to join, that you approve it. And I know Bishop Nicholas mentioned a couple months back that we really needed to rejuvenate band and to start using it more. So I'm going to make a conscious effort to try to do that. If you can do the same and just little things, for example, in the most recent newsletter, we had that flyer for the virtual retreat. You could just put that as a band post and just say, hey, just a reminder, we have this coming up. And if you can do that like once a week or just whenever you have time to do it, I think if all of us try to do a post as the board, more people will check it. They'll be engaged with it and at least know what's going on. That's one way that you can kind of jump in and help us immediately, because band definitely has not been as active as it used to be, but we still need to be using it as a way of at least communicating organizational announcements. It's just another touch point for people to check in and see what's going on in the diocese.
Okay, I think Bryce made me an admin on everything. But I can't seem to figure out how to tell if that actually is. If I don't know where to go in band to see if I am, but I'll look into it. And then I did not have my notifications turned on for band, so I can fix that ASAP.
Yeah, just so I think the main thing is just for when people are requesting to join, because sometimes I miss it. And I don't see that someone's just having you just aware of it will help. And then actually the third bullet point under you, I meant to actually put the website. So what I was hoping you could do, because it's really not that difficult. What we can do is talk offline when you have time, maybe even after this meeting, I can quickly share my screen with you and give you access. But for example, the Bible study is a monthly event that happens every month. And all we need to go do is go in there and change the date on the announcement to show when the next one is. And I'll be honest with you, I miss it sometimes and it's embarrassing. Like when people go to the website, the Bible studies from a few weeks back. And if there's a way you can help, like with the simplest thing is that, one thing Father Hans tells me all the time is you got to make sure the website's right and that you don't have outdated data on it. And I just don't have the time. And sometimes I forget to go back and change it. So I'm not asking you to build anything. Like you don't have to go in and like create a website page. But on the existing pages, it's a very simple and easy thing. And I can show you if you have time after this meeting. If not, we can do it another day where you just log in, you click on the post and you just change the date and really quickly, update the description with it's instead of the 60th, it's the 61st Bible study, just something basic like that. And then as events are falling off, we need to delete them if they're not something that's repeated. So for example, the live stream that we have for St. Joseph the Betrothed, we added that upcoming for December. So after that happens, we're not going to do it again for another, it's going to be many months. So you can just delete it. And I can show you how to do that. But just keeping those upcoming events updated on the site. Elias suggested as social media director, that would be better for his court. I think Eric agreed in the last meeting too. And it's a very simple thing, but since you're going to be checking things like band and working with like making sure people are aware of upcoming events, it's kind of a natural fit. There's a little bit of synergy there. And then if you ever need to create a post, I usually do that, but I can show you how to do it if you have time. Otherwise, I have no problem if it's a brand new item. It's just the recurring ones that change the date is what I need your help updating.
Is it WordPress?
Yeah, it's WordPress.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with WordPress, so I can
Yeah.
do that. We can do that after this. Like,
oh yeah, it's very basic too. You'll find it pretty easy because all we're doing is you just click into the post and you just change the title of it to be the new date.
okay.
So I'll show you how to do that. And then, yeah, with band, after this meeting, I'll double check and make sure that you've been made an admin. And if you have your notifications on, then you can just approve people as they join. And then, just try to maybe pick one thing a week. If you can share it as a post, just as a reminder, it could even be the Bible study. Like we have a Bible study next week. So you could do a post about that and just say, remember, we have our Bible study with Father Stephen on Zoom next week, just as a reminder. And then you can use, if you need images, I can send you like the images that we use. I use me and my local parish, and I have like graphics. So you can like post the picture of Father Stephen on like a Zoom meeting with it as a reminder, because the images always say 1,000 words. So I'll send you what I have to help you with stuff like that too.
Okay.
Any questions on any of that? We good? I think we're good. Okay. We're flying through old business here, so this hopefully won't take too much longer. The last thing is, I just mentioned this, the Akathist to St. Joseph the Betrothed. So that's liturgically called for on the Sunday following Christmas. And we're actually doing it twice a year now, once at our Antiochian Men retreat, which we do now annually. And then it's the Sunday following Christmas, which this year is December 29th. So I don't know if you all heard this in the recording, if you watched the board meeting video. I see you nodding your head, Neil. So I was hoping either you, Matt, or Neil, one of you two could potentially be on the ground to help with doing the live stream from your home parish, because we haven't done it in Hiram or in Concord yet. We've done it at St. Ignatius. We actually just did that last year. But I don't think, you guys don't meet on Sundays yet. Do you, Matt? Are you still on Saturday?
We meet on Sundays. We meet very late in the day. Like we start Orthros at noon.
Okay, so
at
you're not
1:15 or
meeting on
something.
Saturdays anymore for liturgy.
No.
So between the two of you, I don't know which would be easier, but the request would be, and I can very easily, send a tripod to you guys to put your phone in, but you just would log into our Amen YouTube channel. Eric just did this for the Bible study a couple weeks back, but you would set up your phone with, I could even send some microphones for you to use with your phone, and then just set it up, and we would ask your priest to do it. Now, I know Father Thomas did it at the Antiochian Men Conference and Retreat, so he's already familiar with it. Matt, if you want to see if it's feasible to do it there, that'd be great. If not, Neil, I know Father Jacob, I'm sure, would be willing to do it, and the request can obviously come from Father Hans or from Bishop Nicholas officially. But I don't know, between you two, do you think this would be doable? It might, with Concord, I was just thinking if you didn't meet on Sunday, it wouldn't be feasible. But if you're meeting later in the day on a Sunday, you could do this right after liturgy. But I don't know if that's something like, I don't know how much time you have to be there, or if that would.
The probably the difficulty for us is that we meet in a Lutheran church that's very ugly. Also, it would be the setup and tear down, like, because we have it
Yeah.
all set up and then tear it down. I mean, I can ask. It might
Well,
not
and
be
honestly, it just sounds like, based on what you're saying, it might be a little bit logistically more challenging. Which brings me to you, Neil. I think this is what I was kind of thinking in the last meeting, is that maybe we try to do it at St. Stephen's. And, you know, I think you might be muted. Are you muted, Neil? Sorry, we can't hear you. What were you about to say?
Sorry, I'm new.
That's okay.
The only thing we have going on after Christmas is our St. Stephen's feast, but I don't know when it is. I think it's on a Saturday or a random weekday. I don't know.
Feast of St. Stephen. I'm going to just look that up real quick. December 27th.
Yeah, okay. That shouldn't be a problem then.
Yeah, because this would be December 29th.
Yeah.
So tell you what, can you talk to Father Jacob and just
Yeah, I
see?
already mentioned it to him. I just didn't know the day and everything. So yeah, I'll go ahead and
So
see
the
what
question would be, and you can start at whatever time is most convenient for
Okay.
your parish. So for example, what a lot of parishes do is they'll do liturgy, they'll have fellowship, and then go back for the akathist, as an example.
Okay.
So if liturgy usually ends around, I don't know, 11:45, maybe they would do fellowship until, I don't know,
After lunch, yeah, sure.
like after that, and you would start at 12:30. I don't know, it's up to each parish. Some people might want to do it later in the afternoon. It's totally up to you all if you want to come back and do it at like 2, 3 in the afternoon. But if you wouldn't mind just checking with him and see if he'd be willing and what time would be really the best. We're still a couple of months out. I mean, it's October 8th, almost 3 months. So we still have enough time. But if you can just ask him and see if he's willing, and then what time would be good.
All right, I will.
And he was there at the conference and retreat too, so
Right.
he's familiar with it as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, just let us know if you can let me know what he says. It'd be helpful. And then that way, I mean, the idea with this is we'd like to maintain this as a tradition where every year we rotate it to a different parish and, you know, have the live stream take place there, and then obviously have the video. So we want to keep that going. And then who knows, Matt, maybe the following year you'll have your own building and we can do it there. Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be very, very nice.
All right. Well, we'll see if we can do it at St. Stephen this year then, and I'll wait to hear back from you on that, Neil. And then as far
Got
as
it.
new business, so I already kind of gave this away at the beginning, but we have the opportunity now to do an archdiocese level event. I know Bishop Nicholas went off camera. I'm not sure if he's available to talk about this, but Metropolitan Saba did approach him here in Los Angeles and said he wanted to do an event at the archdiocese level. So Sayedna, do you want to give the context of how that came up, or just share what exactly he said?
It actually came up just like that. He looked at me and said, "We need to have a archdiocesan amen retreat." Um,
And did he
I had,
specifically say the Antiochian Village? Did he ask to have it there?
mhm, yeah.
Okay.
So I told him, sure, we'll work out a proposal and we'll send it to you.
So on that note, since the proposal, we've already done an event, which is the good news. Bishop Nicholas suggested we could just take the schedule that we had for that first event and copy it and submit that as the proposal. We would just change the venue to the Antiochian Village. I mean, this is really big. I'm excited because the Metropolitan had not previously given any indication of when he would want to do something at the archdiocese level, and this was a little bit out of the blue. So when he talked to Bishop Nicholas, and it took him by surprise and myself as well, although it's obviously good news. I know Bishop Nicholas said we need at least a year to prepare, to advertise, to do the marketing, which is kind of what we wanted to do for our event. So the question is, do we do this? And I said this at the beginning, do we do this on the dates that we originally were planning for our event and change it to just being one, or do we do two events and do our event as planned and then maybe a little after, a few months after, at the Antiochian Village? Sayedna, do you have any thoughts on that, if we should do our own event as scheduled or just do the Archdiocese event in place of it?
Well, the Archdiocese event would have to be not early summer, not midsummer. It's got to be last 2 weeks of August, because camp is no longer in session. So we can use the activities, the rope course and things like that.
Okay. What about after Pascha, before the PLCs, like in April?
It might be a little bit too cold at the Ethiopian Village at that point. But
We're
we
men.
can. I'm sorry?
Said we're men, we can handle it.
Well,
Yeah,
April,
that's fine with me.
April or May. So what I was thinking, Sayedna, is if we kept our event as we were planning in November of next year, we
Mhm,
could do something in the spring, like late April,
mhm.
early May. I think it would be warm enough, because even if we were to do, I'd rather it not be August hot. I'd rather it be cool so that the outdoor activities are not unbearably.
Yeah, we would have to check AV availability, and we would have to check the availability of the people who man those events, like the rope course and kayaking. There's kayaking and things like that.
Okay. So
Um,
why don't I reach out to Barley at the Antiochian Village and first find out what dates are available? We don't have to
Mhm.
make any decisions in this meeting, but my thought is, Sayedna, I don't want to. I was really conflicted about this, Sayedna, because I don't want to cancel our event or force people to have to go to the village only, because some people may not be able to afford it. A lot of people probably will, especially the younger men who drove and came to our event outside of Atlanta. I'd like to continue our event, and if we really want to do an archdiocese event, that would give us the ability to advertise at the national convention next summer, and at our event we could advertise the archdiocese event. I don't
mhm.
think I don't think it would be bad to wait a few extra months to do it, like after Pascha. So let me reach out to Barley at the village first and find out what dates are available, and then we can take it from there. Does that sound good?
So sounds good. So that's after Pascha this coming year.
Not this coming year, it'd be the year after. It would be, because we have our event next November. I don't think we could do, because you wanted at least a year, right? To
Yeah.
advertise.
Well, that's my point. If we make it in May, we won't have a year.
So yeah, but it wouldn't be this coming May, it would be the May after.
Okay.
May 2026,
Yeah,
Okay. You've
which
got
is
to
so
do it.
far away.
yeah.
That is probably too far.
Okay. So it's gonna have to be, yeah, I think late August would be the only other option then. If we were to,
I don't think the village is available late August, because the Antiochian House of Studies meets there the last week of August and the first
so
week of September.
the weekend before that, they had their men's retreat this
Yeah.
year.
It's the
It'll be
last
the
week of
second to last
August.
week, yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
last week of August is the House of Studies, but the week before that is usually available.
That could work, yeah.
The only thing that makes that tricky, Sayedna, is that if Ancient Faith were to want to do their men's retreat again, that's the date that they picked, but I don't know if they're going to do it another year after what happened this first year.
Well, let's check. Let's check availability.
What happened this first year?
They didn't have as many people show up. So we had 140 people come to our event, and they had only in the 60s.
Which is surprising because they have the biggest megaphone, but it wasn't enough to attract people.
And I was there at every event, and I counted only 62 men at any one event the whole time that we were there. Now, Sam Hebel, who works for Ancient Faith, said that they had 80 people register. I don't know if that's accurate, but they didn't have 80 people show up. And I was counting, including the speakers, there was only 62 people at any of the events at one time. So it was much smaller than our event. And I don't think there's any way, I don't think it could have been profitable for them.
Let's check the second from the last week of August and April or May. But not usually not the middle of May. That's the Board of Trustees meeting.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking late April. The other thing we could do, Sayedna, is ask them about the dates we have planned for November. We could move the date of our event as well.
We can.
So let me just find out what's available, and I'll report back to everybody. But
yeah, it's not just the center that's available. The people, there are volunteers who come and man the rope course and so on.
Yeah, and the kitchen and everything, there's that consideration. Okay, so I'll take that as a follow-up, and I'll take care of finding the dates out, and then we can make a better decision. The only other update I had is for the event we were planning in November. We did confirm Father Barnabas Powell received the blessing from his bishop. The other priest we reached out to, and I talked to Father Hans and to Bishop Nicholas at the fall retreat, is Father Michael Butler, who works very closely with Father Hans with the St. Paisios Brotherhood. So Father Michael Butler is from Michigan, and he's in the OCA. We were looking at the potential of a speaker at coming in from somewhere else, but based on my conversation with Father Hans, he obviously highly recommended Father Michael Butler, and he was one of the original speakers that we were going to ask to come in for when we were going to partner with Ancient Faith before that fell apart a couple years ago. So he will have to get the blessing from his bishop, and so we'll discuss whether we are going to shift those speakers and try to do it at the Antiochian Village if the village is not available any other time, or if we keep our date, we may find new speakers, different speakers for the Archdiocese event. So there'll be more to come on this, and this is brand new. I mean, I just heard about this. When did you tell me? It was like last Thursday, Sayedna, right when I got here. So this is less than a week old of finding out that we're going to do this.
Michael, we might want to consider, since the scope is as wide as the Archdiocese, we might want to consider Antiochian speakers.
Yeah.
For the Archdiocesan event.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, let me find out when it's available.
Sorry, I have a question, Michael. What are the main reasons for wanting to wait later than April or May, late April, May?
Well, we have Great Lent and Pascha, so we can't do it during Lent, obviously. We want the weather to not be freezing cold, so I'm trying to avoid the winter, and we have multiple diocesan events. So we have our parish.
I mean, why prefer after that though? Like, would late April work or early May work? Or what is it that would make late April and early May 2025 not work?
I think it would work because I'm trying to keep it far enough away from our PLC or any of our retreats. The only months that work to me are April or November. Because if you factor Great Lent into this and you try to avoid our winter retreat, our fall retreat, which is in September, our PLC in June, and camp, like these are campgrounds that have active camp sessions, both locations. So that takes out the whole summer except for the very tail end of August. So
I just was wondering if there was some reason, like from our perspective, strategically or tactically, like we couldn't. If could we pull it off? Is there a concern that we wouldn't be able to pull it off in time for this April 2025?
I think we might be able to.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm optimistic about this, but the
I think Michael just
like
mentioned.
what you guys have experienced with the last one, like is what kind of lead up time do you need?
Yeah. See, the issue is Amen is not uh, as known at the archdiocese level as it is in the diocese here. So it might take more time to ramp up time to get everybody up to date on Amen in terms of advertising and so on.
having said that, I see what you're saying, Matt, and what I would say is that if we were going to do anything, we would do the Antiochian Village in November during the dates we originally planned and move our event up to April, because our diocese, we could act much quicker, and I think have enough people still get the message and know about it and come. If we needed to move our event earlier, I think we could do it this coming April of 25. But first, I want to find out if the village even has that available as an option in November, for example, right? That they may not have those dates available.
November might discourage, it might be too cold. It might discourage southern people from going up to AV camp, right?
Our whole diocese won't go because it's too cold up there. Not, I don't know.
Well, if it's in August, there's a better argument to be made, like the second to last weekend in August, for example. So I'll find out. Let's find out what's possible first.
Yeah.
Listen, I love the ambitious idea, Matt, of just doing it earlier. I want enough runway, right? I need enough lead time, especially for the Archdiocese event. I think the earliest we can do it is next November, personally, because we're already in October 2024. That gives us a year from now to really advertise and have good marketing and to reach enough people to make them aware of it. Because we want it to be successful, and we also would need to bring in a big name speaker. I mean, I'm talking like Jonathan Pajot, for example, and you would want to be able to confirm, like you have to confirm the speakers are available. There's just a lot to coordinate. With our event, we could move and flex if needed a lot faster, because the Antiochian men we already know about in our diocese, and if people come from outside, great, but the majority are going to be our men from our diocese. We can reach them a lot faster.
Let's find out availability in April, May, August, November.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, I will call Barley. I happen to have her phone number, and I'm sure she'll love to hear from me about planning this. So I'll keep everybody updated. But it's exciting, right? I mean, this is something that we didn't think was even on the radar. And I would love to still continue our annual diocese event. It went very well the first time. I will ask, since this was from our last meeting, I don't know if anyone has any nominations, recommendations for who could be on a committee if we're even there yet. But Matt, I know you said you were interested in helping to take the lead, and I can be on some of the early calls with you, for example, with Woodland and I can send you the contract. Maybe that could be a good follow-up. But I saw you were saying or nodding your head yes. Neil, did you have somebody in mind?
Yeah, I've got 2 guys at my church, and I'd be willing to. So I also wanted to mention that I can get guys that can just help load and unload also.
Right.
So,
well, that'll be
Awesome.
very helpful. What I'd like
I
to
don't know if I said I was willing to take the lead. I think I might have said I knew somebody that might be interested.
No, you said, I remember you said you were the expert for all.
I don't. I feel like we need to check the minutes on that one.
I put expert.
Well, I just because my organization does conferences. In fact, I'm on the road right now for one this weekend.
Will you be on the committee? Is that enough?
Yeah. So I was trying to get the guy that does it for us to do it, but he said that he would not be able to travel for it, so he'd have to do everything just like online. But he wouldn't be
Oh,
able to.
that would be, I mean, is he a member of your church?
Yeah,
That would be enough. The committee members don't have to necessarily attend. Because there's a lot of work that has to be done behind the scenes. There's contract negotiation, there's setting up registration online. Like if he would just to do the online registration, I know Elias would be dancing in the streets because he has so much on his plate with that kind of stuff. He could hand that off. So if you could talk to him and see would he still be willing to help us organize it, even if he can't travel, I'm sure he could be a big help to us behind the scenes.
I
Like,
did want to ask.
really quick before you say anything, Elias didn't attend the conference and retreat, but he handled all the registration for us. So just a heads up. What were you going to say, Neil?
I wanted to ask kind of what the responsibilities for the committee members would be, because as I started to ask people, the only thing I told them was that you'd have to be available like the day of to load and the day we leave to unload, stay around. But, I don't know if they're going to meet once every 2 weeks or if we know any of that, or if I should just kind of
Yeah, good
leave it
question.
where I did.
So not all committee members will have exactly the same jobs. And I think the idea would be, if there's people that are willing to help out on the ground, they don't have to attend all the meetings with us, but maybe the critical meetings where we're planning that as we get closer, we'd ask them to jump on a Zoom meeting. We'll probably have committee members that handle registration that need to meet once a month, especially as we get closer, just to make sure the website or whatever we're using for that is working. So we'll have to assign tasks in the committee meetings separately and talk about that when we meet. So just so you know, like if there's a couple of guys that are more going to be hands-on, I would want them to attend the first meeting when we meet and then discuss things. And then, for example, we can call committee meetings to talk about registration where they wouldn't have to be on the meeting. But if we call a meeting for logistics planning, then they would attend it, and we would just
Okay.
when they're available.
Gotcha.
And the good news is that we've already done all of the tasks needed. So we have the expertise.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, and since we've done it before, we can just share what was done the first time and then, ask for insights on how we can improve it, because these committee members may have better ideas, right? Or ways of doing it from the first time, but we can share at least how we did do it the first time so that we have the template to use for going forward. So these people that you have in mind, Neil, if you wouldn't mind sending, their emails, we can try to at least compile together the list of who would be on the committee, and then we can set up a committee meeting separately.
Okay, I'll send that to you.
Yeah, because I'd like to do a kickoff here in the next few weeks here, since we're almost a year away. And then Matt, if you could talk to that friend of yours that does this, if he's interested in doing it where he doesn't have to travel, we would sure appreciate the help.
I will ask again. Yeah.
And Matt, I think you'll be a great committee member too, since you're such an expert.
Expert. Yeah. Neil, can you get those minutes for me?
Yeah. It's a PDF, so it can't be changed.
I also have one or two people from my local parish that I have in mind. So my thought is, in the next few weeks, we have our first committee meeting where we start assigning responsibilities or at least kind of the roles that each person will have, how each person can help out. It doesn't have to be a long meeting, but that way people can at least start thinking about it. And then, we may call a meeting for just those involved in registration as an example, the following month to get things started. So that's how I'm envisioning it. But if we can start with a few people, maybe a couple of people from your church, Neil, and then Matt, you and your friend, the expert team, can come in, and then I'll have a couple of people from my church. We can just start there.
Okay, yeah, I think that works good.
Cool. There's also somebody at St. Ignatius that I had in mind, Eric, that I thought might be willing to help us out, but I'll talk to you about that separately.
Okay.
I have
You don't want to throw it out there now?
Well, there's a couple of people.
Is this a coconut situation or what's it called? Peanut?
Watermelon?
Watermelon.
If I say the name, Bishop Nicholas may not agree. So maybe I should say the name. So Ben Boatman was one of them.
Okay.
I think he did such a great job at the fall retreat. It would be awesome if he would be willing to help us out. There was also somebody from your parish that wanted to help out the last time and was available. I can't remember his name now. I need to look it up. And he helped us a little bit on the ground there. He's older. I have to find his name.
Ben can help a great deal, I'm sure. He did a wonderful job with his wife at the fall retreat.
Yeah, if he's interested. And again, even if he can't attend the retreat itself, having him working behind the scenes with planning would be a big help. I'm trying to find who it was. There's one other guy, I don't have his name, but he reached out to me last time and he did
Is it Mark?
attend. Yeah, it was probably Mark.
Mark, and I'm drawing a blank on his last name for some reason.
I'm trying to find it in here, but he was really wanting to help the last time. So if you can ask him if he'd be interested.
Mark Dreschler.
That's him.
Yeah,
How do you spell that? Mark what?
Dreschler, Drechlesler.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have got that.
I just pulled up his phone number. I'm sure you have his
Yeah,
number.
and I was, that's who I had in mind myself.
Yeah. Wait, what did you say, Eric? Sorry.
I had Mark in mind as well before you even said anything.
Yeah, he had reached out to me asking before the last event how he could help out. Yeah, if you could ask Mark and Ben, those are the two from St. Ignatius I had in mind. Just tell them that Bishop Nicholas thinks that they're experts.
And Bishop Nicholas does not understand the word no.
Yeah, don't use my name. Use Bishop Nicholas's name. All right. Well, that's a good start. Hopefully, if you can confirm with them, Eric, and let me know what they both say. And then, what's your friend's name, Matt, that does this?
David Kern.
David Kern. Okay. I don't know if I've met him, but see if he's interested. And if so, once you confirm, if you can maybe just reply to the email I sent the agenda out to with who's willing. And if you can include their email address, we can set up a Zoom meeting for everybody that can make it. And that way we can get the ball rolling.
Michael, we might need to meet again next week because I don't want to let the planning for the archdiocesan event go too long.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm going to work on the proposal. Maybe we can review that in a meeting quickly next week.
Mm-hmm.
I have one dilemma.
What's that?
So I'm on the road right now until Saturday, and then I get home late Saturday night, and then I leave Tuesday for Spain for a month.
How about next Monday?
So next Monday, Sunday night or Monday or early in the day.
Zoom works from Spain, I think.
It does. I think it does. It's the 2 a.m. meeting that I think might be problematic.
Yeah, that's a little hard. So, Sayedna, where are you next Monday?
I'll be in Atlanta. Let me check when I get back.
You leave for Spain on the 15th and you're gone for a month?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, let's see what Sayedna's schedule is.
Did I approve that trip? Matt?
Father Thomas did. I thought he went to you first. I don't know. I don't.
Just kidding. I'll get home on October 14 at 6 p.m. I'll get to the airport at 6 p.m. So I'll be probably home by 7:30.
Okay, if
Eastern time.
we did 8 Eastern, that would give a cushion. Are you on Eastern time, Matt?
Yes.
I will be on Monday. Not right now, but I will be Monday.
Okay, can you meet next Monday? At 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
All right. Eric, is that good with you?
Monday?
Yeah.
Sure.
Is it us, this group right here?
Yes.
Monday?
Yeah.
Hopefully, Elias, if God willing, the hurricane doesn't wipe things out too bad. Um, I don't know. I mean, we'll see how things go with the storm, but Father Hans may not join us. Do you know when he comes back from Greece, Sayedna?
I don't remember.
Okay, well, I think if we,
I think he leaves for a week. Did
Yeah.
did he leave?
yeah, I think so he should be back by then. But Neil, can you make it next Monday at 8 Eastern?
Yes.
Okay, let's do that so we can get, I agree with Sayedna, let's capitalize on this momentum. We want to strike while the iron's hot with Metropolitan Saba, and we don't want to keep him waiting. So I'll work on a proposal and send that to everybody ahead of the meeting, and we can review it. And by then I'll also have, God willing, some dates with the Antiochian Village, so we really can start planning. And then if we could take this as a follow-up for each of you to just check with those that you have in mind for the committee. And Matt, if there's anyone else from your church that you think of, feel free to speak to them as well. But let's just come prepared next Monday with the final list of names, emails, and we can set a committee meeting up. Sound
I don't
good?
know if I'll be able to get an answer from those guys by Monday, but I can start the conversation, and then I don't know. They're tricky.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Just give us an
One
update.
thing I was gonna say, Michael, just to go back about the debate about the archdiocese event versus our diocese event.
Yeah.
I mean, this is obviously hot scoop, coming with Metropolitan Saba's support. I know that we all, especially because we had such an incredible first event with our diocese, but I think we just need to look at it. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have two. I'm saying what would be if it comes down to it, what is the priority? And if we are getting this message in, what very well could be divine providence, that what the work that's been done in our diocese now needs to be spread out to the archdiocese, and the Metropolitan has seen fit that now is that time. I think that should be a priority. If we have to pick one for next year, if we have to do something in 2025 and it can only be one, should it not be the archdiocese one is the priority?
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. I mean, if we were to also consider the resources it takes, I don't want to plan two events close to each other.
Yeah, because then we dilute, we'll danger of one, diluting the bandwidth that we have to do it,
Yeah.
but diluting attendance probably on both sides.
Yeah, and I don't know. We'll have to see when the Antiochian Village is available, and then I think we can make that decision. I think we all need to kind of think about that between now and next Monday, and then once we know what the dates are available, we can talk about it more. If we have to, for example, if November is the only option with the Antiochian Village, maybe we just say our second annual event is at the village and it's an archdiocese-wide event, and that's our second annual for next year. And who knows who knows if maybe it's back in our diocese the next year. I don't know. We'll see. But I think it's going to have to start with the dates, but I understand what you're saying. And we're going to have to also decide on the speaker situation, because as Bishop Nicholas said, if it's our archdiocese, we should probably be picking speakers from our archdiocese.
Right.
Which would make me want to ask Metropolitan Saba. So Bishop Nicholas,
Is there a thought too that if it's going to be an archdiocese event, something that's more centrally located than Pennsylvania?
That's where the Metropolitan wants to do it.
I didn't know how firm he was on that. I don't know. Maybe saying that you have some color on that.
Metropolitan Saba thinks that the Antiochian Village is the symbol of the Archdiocese unity. So he would want to do it there.
Yeah.
It's basically killing two birds with one stone. Also giving the revenues to the Antiochian Village. That's very important to him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When I met with Barley the first time, it is our archdiocese. It's a property that we own, and they have a lot of overhead, and they need support from our archdiocese by doing events there. So it's
Gotcha.
an active.
That makes sense.
it's an act of stewardship for us to be able to do that there as well. Now,
Hmm.
it's not in our diocese, but if it's truly an archdiocese event, it changes the game. If we were to do a diocese event there, it wouldn't make sense because it's outside of there. Now, we're probably still going to be able to get a lot of people from our diocese to make the trip, but it's not going to be the same as our event locally. It's going to potentially price out a lot of the people that could come to Temple and stay at a campground for much cheaper. So this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to price out the young men who can't afford to go to the village by not offering an event in our diocese. So I'm hoping we can still do two. If we have to pick, we'll have to make that decision. We'll have to figure out based on what dates are available. If we can only do one, maybe we do the archdiocese event only, but we'll talk about that, I think, in the next meeting. We just need to know when they're available.
Okay, sounds good.
On site, when we're having that archdiocese event, we need to be keeping our eyes and ears peeled for recruiting people from outside of the diocese, because it's likely that the metropolitan will say, okay, you're going to be responsible for the archdiocesan one. So at least for a while until to get it going. So we would need to recruit people from other dioceses.
Yeah. And I already have an idea because there's people that have reached out to us from other dioceses asking for advice, how to get started. So I can go through the emails and look for those people and see if they register. So we'll talk about that when we get to it. But yeah, it's an exciting opportunity. It's going to be a lot of work, and we're going to have to coordinate things and be thoughtful about setting this up for success. At the same time, it's happening sooner than I thought it would, so it's a good thing. So I think it's a good problem to be worried about these kinds of things. The need is definitely there. So, having two would be better, but let's capitalize on the fact the Metropolitan wants to move forward. I think Sayedna, I think it's safe to say he's getting good feedback from all over the country about Antiochian men, is why he wants to
I
do
think so. I think so. I think this can be used as a launching platform for the Archdiocesan Amen.
Okay, well, we'll talk more about this next week. We've already exceeded an hour. I'm sorry for the longer meeting, but lots of important stuff to discuss. So I'll send the recording out and make sure Elias and Father Hans have access, and all of us as well. I'll try to get that out later today. Is there anything else anyone wants to discuss? Sayedna, did you have anything?
No, that's it.
Okay, well, we'll just be praying for everybody in Florida. I know it's going to be a rough few days here coming up, and please keep us updated, Bishop Nicholas, as you hear about our parishes. I hope that God protects them and all the parishioners and keeps them as safe as possible.
Exactly. I've been keeping in touch with all the parishes. I've been keeping in touch with all the parishes that are in the path of Milton, and I've advised at least the ones on the West Coast to evacuate. So God willing, they listened, and everybody will be okay.
Okay. Well, Sayedna, would you like to close us in prayer?
Sure. O Heavenly King, comfort the Spirit of truth, who art in all places and fillest all things, treasure of good things and giver of life, come and abide in us, and cleanse us from every stain and save our souls, O gracious Lord. Amen.
Thank you all for your time this evening. We'll see you
Good
next.
night, everyone.
Michael, I've got a couple questions for you.
I can stay on with you, and Matt,
Okay.
why don't we connect later on the website stuff? I can set it up and email you a login as well.
That's great. That'll work. Thanks, Michael.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Am I sending my bio to the same person I sent my picture?
If you can just send it to amendomsey@gmail.com, I'll make sure it gets to the right place. I might even do it myself, honestly, if you just send it to my email.
Okay, and what was the time for Father Stephen's Bible study? October 17th.
Yeah, the 17th, it starts at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central.
You said 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. what?
6 p.m. Central.
Central. Okay. I'm not used to working in different time zones yet.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, you just look at Eastern time and then it's 1 hour earlier for Central.
Right.
And I'm sharing my screen here, and this is the part of the website that we're going to update. So I'll probably just put your picture in myself. I can edit this. So for our secretary, this is the length of the bio.
Right.
So you can see it's not very long. If you just send us like three sentences or so, I can go in there and change this. But if you just send it to the amendomsey@gmail.com, I can go in and update it.
All right. That's all I needed.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you next
Yes.
Monday night.
Okay. Good night.
All right. Good night.